My name is Amyah Weakley, and you're listening to Mason's Way, a podcast exploring the life and activism of AIDS prevention advocate Belinda Mason.
And I think the thing that drives me and keeps me moving is that I never leave it. Every place that I am, when I leave, there's always people that say to me, I feel different now about AIDS. And I think that's too important not to do, if that's what it takes. You know, it's too important not to do it. And I think the problem in this country has been that people were too able to say that AIDS was about other people and not about people like them. And I think that to the extent that I've made a contribution, it's been to be able to have people realize that AIDS is about all of us and that it's not really about gay white men or IV drug users or babies, or, you know, it's not about certain groups. It's about all of us, really, and it always was.
Belinda Mason was an advocate for the prevention of HIV and became a prominent voice in Eastern Kentucky for erasing the stigmas and notions surrounding the AIDS virus. Born in Whitesburg, Kentucky in 1958, Belinda Mason was a rural Kentucky writer and mother until her life, as well as her life's work, shifted due to her contraction of the AIDS virus via blood transfusion. Her personal diagnosis eventually inspired her activism, stressing the importance of spreading knowledge about AIDS prevention and ridding the stereotypes surrounding the characteristics of AIDS and HIV-positive patients. In case you didn't know, the AIDS virus is essentially the final form of the HIV virus, which attacks the immune system by destroying the blood cells used to fight off infection. People diagnosed with HIV are extremely immunocompromised, making them a vulnerable and sometimes violently targeted group in public spaces. The Belinda documentary touches on this, detailing families affected by the virus becoming victims of violent arson.
What's happened to other people with AIDS in churches is not a happy ending story like mine. I think of the Ray family in Florida, who I'm sure you've all heard of, the family with 3 sons who have hemophilia, who are HIV infected. The Ray family went to their pastor to tell him, when they had learned this crushing news, that their 3 cherished and loved sons were infected with the disease that would probably take their lives. And their pastor not only did not offer the balm of Gilead to them, he asked them not to return to the church. And he spread the word throughout the community that the 3 children were infected. Now, this is what people are doing in the name of God. If this doesn't trouble us, then I worry about us.
These crimes are stemmed from the misunderstanding of the virus, including widespread claims that it only affects IV drug users or gay men. While these populations of people are recognizably affected by AIDS, even disproportionately so, Belinda Mason makes it known that the virus as a whole is a test on the humanity of those in which the subject of AIDS and HIV comes up. Essentially, everyone is involved in the fight for AIDS prevention, and decreasing these stigmas can aid in the physical safety of HIV and AIDS patients, as well as to spread the knowledge about treatment and prevention options for those who may be affected. To Belinda, the conversation surrounding AIDS is one that must be had, and facing the reality of it head-on has become a characteristic of Mason's writing. In fact, Mason was the first person with AIDS to be appointed to the U.S. National Commission on AIDS due to her adoption of AIDS as a topic in her writings and speeches post-diagnosis.
The very first thing that I need to tell you, and that we need to all be real clear about, is that most people with AIDS are not like me. I am a very, to some extent, easy person with AIDS to accept because I look like most of you, and I have a family like I'm sure some of you do. I come from the South. It's easy to respond to a person who has those kinds of qualifications. But I think the true demand has to do so much more with people who aren't like us. We've lost more people to AIDS already than we lost in the Vietnam War. Every one of those people was beloved by somebody, They were somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's cousin, somebody's brother. They're not just numbers, and they're not just abstracts, and they're not even just panels on a quilt. They're lives that have been taken from us.
A huge part of Appalshop's mission in covering Belinda's story was giving her the opportunity to tell her own story, hence the almost entirely self-narrated film, Belinda. As an Appalshop archive intern this summer, I have gained access to files and materials surrounding the making of the Belinda film, which I would like to share with you all in this podcast. This includes things such as records of film distribution requests by churches and other local AIDS prevention organizations, and reviews of the film and how Belinda Mason's story is depicted within it. But I am excited for the series to take off essentially as an investigation on the Appalshop produced film Belinda.